Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate. How confident is the government of Tuesday's vote and what will happen thereafter? Those are the two key issues I shall explore today with the Minister of Science and Technology, Kapil Sibal. Mr. Sibal, on Monday Parliament will start debating the vote of confidence tabled by the Prime Minister. Will the government win or will you lose?
No, I think that we are here to win. There's
How
no question
confident are you of winning?
I'm very confident because I'll tell you the reason why I'm confident. I'm confident because I think in the hearts of members of parliament, despite all the politicking that is going on, people know that this deal is good for India. So and I think in their hearts, and when they actually go and vote, this is a question each of them will ask themselves.
So will you win on the basis of having at least 272 members on your side, or because of critical abstentions on the other side?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I cannot possibly say how it will happen, but we will win the vote of confidence.
All right, let's for a moment talk about how the voting might go. How confident are you that every single Congress MP in the Lok Sabha will vote for the government?
Well, you know, you can never tell about individuals, but I do believe that 99% of them will.
But you accept that 2 or 3 may not vote?
Well, it's possible.
Or may not vote.
It's possible because I've read some newspaper statements by certain members of parliament, one in Haryana and some of them otherwise. But I do believe that ultimately they might also turn around.
How many of the Samajwadi Party's 39 MPs will be on your side?
Well, you know, that's not something that I have assured the party. It's the Samajwadi Party that has assured that the numbers that they have promised will be delivered. How they will be delivered, only they know.
The newspapers are saying that the size of the rebellion in Samajwadi ranks could be anything from 4 or 5 on the lower side to perhaps 16 on the high side. Has your party factored that into your calculations?
All that has been factored, and we do believe Amar Singh ji when he says that, that despite everything, he will deliver the numbers that he promised.
Do believe, or keeping your fingers crossed and hope he's right?
I believe.
What about Shibu Soren and the JMM? Are you confident that they will vote with you?
Yes, absolutely confident. Remember, Shibu is part of the UPA. There is no reason for him, even though, you know, frantic efforts are being made to offer him a chief ministership in Jharkhand by the BJP. You know very well that Shibu Soren will come back to us.
But he's withheld saying so in public. He's clearly bargaining for positions, ministerships himself, cabinet ministerships. How much can you concede?
No, there's no question of conceding anything. I think the fact of the matter is that Shibu Soren has had a checkered, recent past, in that he was convicted, then he was acquitted, and a couple of times he's been in and out of the ministry. So in these circumstances, at the moment while he's acquitted, he can well be inducted. But that's really not an issue. At the moment, I do believe that Shibu Soren will support the government.
Despite his silence, he will support the government.
Absolutely.
What about smaller parties such as the JDS, the RLD, even perhaps the NC? Are they giving you any sign of support?
Well, you must remember that the JDS, for example, is against, I mean, ideologically, is not with the BJP for the last elections also on their own. And the JDS will again come back to us. The Dev Gowda is probably meeting some of the top leadership of the
He's meeting the Prime Minister on Saturday.
Yes, I believe. And so I think that's not a problem.
Is the fact that he's meeting the Prime Minister a sign that gives you assurance and confidence that he will support you?
Absolutely. I mean, I have no doubts about it that all these people who are termed as fence-sitters will be part of the Congress fold.
But in addition to being a fence-sitter, Jeet Singh is keeping his cards very, very close to his chest. Clearly he's bargaining. Can you offer him something more than just changing the name of Lucknow Airport?
It's not a question of bargaining. You see, as far as Ajit Singh is concerned, you look at Uttar Pradesh and look at where RLD stands in Uttar Pradesh. RLD can't possibly go with BJP. It's not a force in Uttar Pradesh.
So you're saying the logic of politics pushes him to your side?
Absolutely.
What about the National Conference and the fact that Omar Abdullah as yet hasn't revealed his hand?
Well, again, the National Conference, the logic of politics is on our side. I don't think the National Conference will be seen to be voting for the BJP or the NDA.
So you have hopes that all these small parties and the JMM will actually end up, despite their present silence or prevarication, on your side?
Absolutely.
A.B. Bharathan, the General Secretary of the Communist Party of India, and until very recently one of your staunchest allies, has publicly said and repeatedly said that the government is offering 25 crore.
I think it is, and I want to make it clear on behalf of the government, you know, this government is not involved in any such unsavory financial transactions.
You mean money is not changing hands?
No way will this government compromise on that.
What about the fact that individuals such as Munawar Hassan has said that they've been approached and offered 25 crores?
He did not say the government. He did not say the
You
government.
may be acting through intermediaries.
No, no. Why? As I told you, I'm now speaking on behalf of the government. This government, this Prime Minister, Mrs. Gandhi, do not believe in these things.
So what happened in '93 won't happen now.
And remember this: Munawar Hassan is probably, is not a person who is to be believed merely because he makes that statement. He may have made that statement in the instance of a particular party and a leader of a particular party who is now trying to get Munawar Hassan onto her side.
So what you're saying to me is that what happened with JMM in '93 simply will not happen again in 2008.
No question. No question. I can assure the people of India.
That's a guarantee.
Absolutely.
All right, let's then come to the question of abstentions. How confident are you that some, maybe many Akali Dal MPs may abstain?
Well, it's not a question of my confidence. As I said to you earlier, my conviction is that members of parliament, all members of parliament, ultimately know where the national interest lies. And I think in their heart of hearts, if they have an opportunity to vote consistent with their conscience, they will vote for the deal.
So you're suggesting that not just Akali MPs, but possibly
Yes.
Shiv Sena MPs, maybe even a few Biju Janata Dal,
Yes, across the board.
may break ranks with the NDA and
Across the
abstain.
board. Across the board. Across the board. Because the deal is good for India.
When you say across the board, are you also expecting, perhaps anticipating that some BJP MPs may abstain?
Absolutely, absolutely. And quite frankly, and I can share this with you, Karan, and I can share it with the people of India, that I have myself talked to MPs across board, and most of them privately, those that I have talked to, especially the younger ones, tell him, we are for the deal. You see, remember this,
So there are
what is being enacted today outside Parliament and will be enacted in Parliament is an absolute farce.
So there are some BJP MPs that you personally know of who may either abstain or perhaps better still vote with the government.
I don't know about that, but they are certainly not happy with the position that the BJP has
And you
taken.
personally know of some such BJP MPs?
Yes, I'm aware of them.
Let me pull back a moment and put it like this. You're confident, but your confidence hinges on a quilt work of assurances. Assurances that stretch from abstentions to your hope that in fact all Congress MPs will vote for you, to your belief that most Samajwadi Party MPs will observe their party 3 whip, to the belief that the smaller parties, because of logics and compulsions, will actually be on your side. So many little things have to fall into place for the government to win that it could easily go wrong.
But this is precisely the point, Karan, which I want to convey through you to the people. See, look at the farce that is being enacted outside of Parliament. The left pulled away, withdrew support on the ground that they are opposed to the nuclear deal. And what is happening outside Parliament today has nothing to do with the nuclear deal. It is absolutely crass politics.
But this is the problem. Because the issue of the nuclear deal is now dwarfed by the sustainability and the acceptability of this government, the fact that the government is unpopular may bring the deal down.
This is the point that I'm making, that the whole withdrawal of support, and that's why I made my statement initially by saying the withdrawal of support was based on that this nuclear deal is not good for India, right? That's the reason why the left withdrew support. Now, what should be an issue is why did you withdraw support on this deal and is this good for India? But everybody is looking at how to bring down the government, which is absolutely nothing to do with whether the deal is good for India or not.
Absolutely, and because the government depends on so many myriad promises, dependent upon so many people, including individuals, any one thing going wrong could bring you down.
It will not go wrong. Because
it's a close-run thing.
The logic of politics is in favor of the UPA. The UPA has done, and I have to say with confidence, that the last 4.5 years have seen the kind of things that a government has done that has never been done in the history.
Maybe, but today it's a very close-run thing. Would you concede that?
Well, it's not close enough for discomfort.
You mean you actually have room today to feel secure and comfortable?
I'm secure.
You're secure?
I feel comfortable.
That's not bravado?
That's not bravado.
That's not a brave face?
No, no, no.
You're genuinely saying to me that you're breathing easy, you're not worried?
Look, in politics, you can't possibly say you're not worried, but it's not close enough for discomfort.
In other words, it's close enough for you to feel comfortable.
To feel okay, yes.
Let's take a break at that point. I want to come back and talk about the belief that you got assurances from the BJP that then the BJP leadership went back on. Are those beliefs correct, or are they just stories that have been manufactured? And then after that, what happens after Tuesday? That's in a moment's time. See you after the break. Welcome back to Devil's Advocate and an interview with the Minister of Science and Technology, Kapil Sibal. Mr. Sibal, it's widely believed that sometime in December last year, the Prime Minister met the senior leadership of the BJP and was given certain assurances that they would support the nuclear deal. Are you aware of this meeting?
Your information is not only right, but it's 100% correct. The fact of the matter is that the Prime Minister was approached and said that if you could convince the BJP leadership that our strategic deterrent is intact, they might consider supporting the deal. So the Prime Minister went across in a meeting with the previous Prime Minister of India, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, along with Shri L.K. Advani and Brijesh Mishra. And in the course of the conversation, demonstrated that not only was the strategic nuclear deterrent in place, but the strategic nuclear deterrent capability had been enhanced. And in fact, even numbers broadly were suggested. And because Brijesh Mishra and then Atal Bihari Vajpayee knew of these numbers because they had been in those positions, they were convinced. And at the end of the meeting, Lal Krishna Advani ji said, I'm satisfied. We are now in a position to support the 1-2-3 agreement. But could you, Mr. Prime Minister, send us a letter? At which point in time, the Prime Minister went back, sent a letter stating the conversation that had taken place. And thereafter, unfortunately, Mr. Advani informed the Prime Minister that he was not able to deliver on his promise. And that senior leadership of the party was against the deal, and so he cannot deliver.
When exactly did this meeting happen?
I am given to understand that it was sometimes December 20th, 21st or 22nd. I don't know the exact date, but one of those days.
Are you absolutely sure of this story?
Well, I'm not given to making statements on public television unless I am sure. I am 100% sure.
You're 100% sure?
Absolutely.
If one were to go to Mr. Advani or Mr. Brijesh Mishra, who you say was there?
No, the point is, if you don't believe me, you ask Brijesh Mishra. He was there. Let's not get politicians involved in this. Ask Brijesh Mishra.
In a sense, you're challenging Mr. Brijesh Mishra can confirm this story.
Absolutely. I have no doubts about it that he will, because that's exactly what happened.
Why do you think Mr. Advani first gave a promise to support the 1-2-3 agreement and then backed out? Why did he back out?
Well, you know, people in politics today are given to put their prime ministerial ambitions above national interest.
You're saying Mr. Advani put his personal ambition ahead of the country's interest?
Well, that's the only inference that's possible.
I'm also told, possibly before this meeting, possibly after this meeting that you just told me about, but I'm told that there was an occasion when the Foreign Secretary, the National Security Advisor, and perhaps the Chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission briefed Jaswant Singh. And I'm told that Mr. Jaswant Singh complimented them on the excellent job they done. Do you know about that story?
Well, absolutely.
Is it true?
Again, your information is absolutely right. They went over, they briefed him, all three of them. And at the end of the meeting, I have the exact words with me. At the end of the meeting, this is what Shri Jaswant Singh said. And this is his language. Gentlemen, I must compliment you on a job well done.
Jaswant Singh?
Jaswant Singh.
Then leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha?
That's correct.
Complimented the Foreign Secretary, the National Security Advisor and Kokotkar.
In those words that I have told you.
So if today he's at the forefront of those criticizing the deal, he's done a complete U-turn.
Well, you know, the BJP leaders have done it all along. They did it in the insurance legislation, they did it in the intellectual property legislation, the patent law. They are known to do these things. I mean, they would do anything to get back to power.
So the very highest leadership of the BJP, including the gentleman they consider their Prime Minister in waiting, made promises to the Prime Minister to support the deal and then backed out.
Absolutely, absolutely right. And this is unfortunate. And this is only because, you know, there's a famous story that I will tell you about, that when Napoleon was conquering Poland, he got some Russian soldiers who then, when they came in front of him and said that, you know, we are much better than you because we are fighting for honor and you're only fighting for wealth. And you know what Napoleon said? He said, you know, we all fight for that which we don't have. The BJP doesn't have power and it'll do anything to get it.
And you're saying that in the pursuit of power for themselves and for their party, they've sacrificed the country's interest. Knowingly, they've gone back on what they thought was the best deal possible.
They are convinced. That's why Stoke Talbot's writings have an aura of authenticity to them.
Let me then talk to you briefly in the time available about what would happen after Tuesday. And let's first talk about what would happen if the government loses the vote on the floor of the House. Will you really stop and not proceed with the deal? Because in those circumstances, you could end up losing the government and the deal and gain nothing.
Quite frankly, Karan, this is not an issue that I'm willing to respond on. I personally think, and I talk to you constitutionally, you know, I'm not talking to you as a member of the government, but constitutionally, a caretaker government before the next election cannot take any fresh policy decisions.
But this is an old policy decision.
A decision already taken is something that certainly can be pursued.
So if I understand you correctly, this is a decision that's already been taken, and even if you're reduced to caretaker status, you can pursue it.
I'm talking constitutionally.
Absolutely.
I'm not talking as a politician.
Constitutionally.
Not talking on behalf of the government either.
Let me put something else to you. Given that parties like the Akalis, the Shiv Sena, possibly the Biju Janata Dal, all of whom may end up voting against you, but all of whom have declared publicly that they like the deal, that they support the deal. Clearly, even if there isn't a majority in Parliament for the government, there is a clear majority for the deal.
I mean, quite frankly, the sense of the House is in our favor. I mean, keep politics apart. And that's exactly what Rahul Gandhi also said, that he's talked to several members, several young members in Parliament, and they're all for the deal. So if you keep politics apart, politicians and people of this country are for the deal, because this is a historic opportunity for us.
In fact, you're saying something else as well. If the sense of the House, including the sense of many members of the NDA, is on the side and in favor of the deal,
exactly,
then constitutionally, even if the government is reduced to caretaker position, there is nothing wrong in pursuing the deal, because there is a majority for the deal in the Indian Parliament.
Well, as I said to you, I'm not going to willing to respond politically to this.
But constitutionally?
Constitutionally, I have told you what the position is. And quite frankly, as far as I am concerned personally, such historic opportunities should never be wasted by a nation.
In other words, this is a golden opportunity that will not come your way again. And in the interest of India, there is a certain logical follow-up that would take place, or should take place.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, constitutionally it is possible.
If the government, on the other hand, were to win, will you take major steps to reinvigorate the government, and in particular to push forward reform so that the momentum of growth is maintained and enhanced, and confidence in India is increased?
I would personally like that to happen.
Including the many steps that the left stopped you from taking, such as increasing insurance caps, banking and pension reform?
I don't know. I mean, that's something, nothing should be done, I think, without discussing with all the partners in the government. And incidentally, I just want to tell you, there is no chance of the government falling.
But if the government... quite right. But let's put that aside.
Yeah.
So if the government doesn't fall and gets the vote,
yes, I think we should do our very best after talking to all our partners in the government, all of those who are supporting us, to take forward the reform process.
Kapil Sibal is personally in favor of ensuring that if the government wins the vote of confidence, you will be in top gear for the next 9 months. You won't limp to the elections.
I personally would like that to happen, but this all must be done after consultation with all those who support us and who are part of government.
But your personal vote is for
absolutely
pressing down the accelerator on the reform process.
Absolutely.
Kapil Sibal, a pleasure talking to you on Devil's Advocate.
Thank you.